Hello, everyone. We will be going over just some basic website design elements, and I'll be walking you through this mock-up of the 303. Um, Something that I'm going to start with, I always start with the navigation and making sure that's lined up. So let's get all of this lined up. You can see I'm not taking it all the way to the edge of the page. That's fine. We've got some additional items down here that are kind of in a weird width and height. So let's make this a bit cleaner. Let's go 475 maybe by 165. And that'll just tighten everything up. So let me get rid of all these bad ones. And we can just duplicate, holding Shift and Option. You're going to drag and drop and just do that again. Grab all three of these, Shift, Command, drag and drop. All right, it looks like I'm going a little bit beyond my border, so I'm gonna line it up because I'm using this one. Same thing for this. What I should have done is made sure these were the same size before I drag and drop. So let me just drag this one back over. Perfect. We've got this image. It's got a little bit of padding on the side. It's not 100% gonna hit the size, and that's fine. It doesn't necessarily have to be exact for an image. All right, let me turn these off. You can view your guides, view, hide layout grid. You can show a square grid. So let's just turn that off for now. All right, so we have this section here, and I want to add a background color. So let me select the color here, get the shape. And I'm just going to draw this here. Select that color again, remove the border because that's very dated in terms of design. Send this back, and it's kind of nice how this bleeds into this main header area. So we can say for this one, because we have to come up with creative text, we can call this come play with us. And then we can add different things here. Now, the one thing I did miss was putting a nice lead in here. So let me grab my H1 tag and get the text, just drag something here, and we can say, come on, family poolside fun, food fun, fuss free. Family poolside experience. Okay. So it looks like it's pretty good, but the text is really small. So let's grab that. I'm going to turn my guide back on. That was by holding Shift Command and the quotation. I'm going to just make sure that this lines up on my grid. And looks like this is going into a grid area that we're not using. So let me just resize it and take it back. There we go. Looks like it's probably a little bit better. Okay, now I do have a gradient overlay on top of this picture. And I can turn that off, and you can see here which one is stronger. You can gradient, no gradient. Let's keep the gradient off for now. Making sure our borders are off. Again, it's very dated. I'm going to drag this, make sure it goes to the fold. Cool. And then we'll take this section and bring it up. going to make sure that I've got all my headers in right. And again, turning that on and centering. So these are just a few things when starting on your page. Another thing to consider, I think looking at this now, I think that this text is a little too small. So let me just resize that. And I'll make an adjustment over here in my H2 to make sure that it's consistent. And this is also very plain. It doesn't portray the fun element of this. I don't mind that this is kind of plain. It feels almost resort-like, but this doesn't convey anything. So you can keep playing with different styles and whatnot. This image also does not really correlate well with this. But something to think about is how much spacing there is between these elements. Let me turn this on here. And this is there's only 129 pixels in height. I generally like to take it to 150 at the minimum. So let's just do 150 as a guide. Grab everything here and drag it down. You see how much more breathing room that has now? I don't know if I like this as the background anymore. And this whole thing actually, it seems very boring to me. But just how we had this 150 spacing at the top, now we're going to make sure that it's consistent on the bottom. So this is now way too big. We bring it up, size it, perfect, get rid of it. And now we have the appropriate spacing on all sides. Same thing for down here. I would just want to make sure that, again, everything's sized appropriately. Maybe this one doesn't need to be 150, maybe just 100 will do for this because it's a smaller section. So it looks like this one almost reaches that, but then if we come down to the bottom, there's clearly a lot more. So we can eliminate that. And all I did was double click there and get rid of that. Now this is probably these dots are definitely way too spaced. So just play around with your formatting. Obviously this isn't spaced properly, but those are just a couple design elements to think of as you start to build your site.